So welcome everybody. It's 1:05. So here's sort of the agenda, okay? I'm going to go through a little PowerPoint, give you a nice overview. And then you'll have the chance to ask questions. But if you hold your questions to the end, and it's short, a short PowerPoint, just write them down. Then our wonderful consultant, Ginger Siegel, will help to Ginger, wave your hands. So Ginger from GS Consulting is helping us through this whole process, and we would not survive without her. So I was going to wait until it's 1:05, give people 5 more minutes, but super jazzed and excited to have you all here. Thank you for coming. So I think most everybody knows me, but I'm Lisa Yeager. I'm the director of the Senior Center. And Sarah Lambert, our board president, is here. Yay, Sarah. And then Ginger Siegel, our consultant, is here. And we're the ones who will try our best to answer your questions, but if we're not able to, we will write them down and get back to you. So I'm going to start real quickly showing you where you can find this information after the event. So hold on. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to show you our website and show you where you can find this information after this presentation is over. So here's our lovely website. Thank you, Kira Avery, for putting together such a lovely website. You see this really nice purple box on the side here? You will see on the top of this purple box, it says affordable senior housing. You can click right there. And here you will find our feasibility study, which has the budget in it and all the financial details. You'll have this presentation, and it has all the updates from our board president, Sarah Lambert. So you can also find it in About. So you see all these tabs right here on this purple line. So if you go to About, you can click on Affordable Senior Housing. So you can get at it from 2 ways, from the About tab or this side purple tab. Sound good? So if you want a lot more details, especially about the budget, then go to the feasibility study. You just click on it and it will show up right there. Okay. There's budget stuff, the initial budget. Everything changes. So, but if it looks scary, the first part, the narrative, is very understandable English about who we are, our capacity to do this, and what the need is. So that's our feasibility assessment. So, sound good?
Yes.
Okay, it is now 1:07, so I'm going to ask you all to mute temporarily, and then I will go through the PowerPoint, and then we'll go through questions. So here we are. Oh, senior housing feasibility assessment. Can you all see it? Yes, no? Somebody unmute, tell me. Are you still there?
Easy to see.
Okay. So welcome. The Sno-Valley Senior Center, we had a meeting with the membership about 2 years ago, and we gave people a whole list of things of what they might like us to concentrate on for our long-term future. And housing was overwhelmingly the thing that our members and the community really wanted us to work on. So we started on this journey. Our goal is to provide affordable senior housing for Sno-Valley senior citizens. The other part of that goal is that this housing is sustainable in the long term, and that it adds to our financial stability with no ongoing fundraising needed. I thought, wow, those are pretty ambitious goals. But it's so important because, as you know, there is no affordable housing for seniors or pretty much anybody right here in the Snoqualmie Valley or in Carnation. And there is zero senior housing, none. You could go up to North Bend or you could go to Redmond or something. So we wanted some senior housing. Sorry about the phone. And we thought, where could we do this? We didn't really want to purchase property, but we have a nice big parking lot next door with the little white house. And that location would be so awesome because then the residents of the senior housing would have access to our senior programs, our meals, and to our transportation, the Hyde shuttle and all the other things that we have. So what we would like to do is build 15 one-bedroom apartments. And then the parking for the senior center, since we'd be using the parking lot and the little house lot, would be relocated around the perimeter of this housing. And I'll show you how that's going to look. And we reserve some space on site for the future thrift store. It's really hard to get funding for a thrift store, just so you know, but we're working on it. Now, who would be eligible? Who would get to live in this senior housing? Well, low income. So then somebody asked me, would that include assets like a house that you're going to sell? No, it's your regular monthly income. And so we're focusing on half of the units for those people who are at 30% AMI. And AMI stands for Area Median Income. Well, King County has pretty high income. So that means that 30%, which is very low income, that would be $24,300 for a single person a year, or somebody who makes, a couple who makes $27,800. And then a portion of it will be set for 50% AMI. So not very low, but low income. And that would be a person who makes around $39,000 a year, and a couple that makes around $44,000 a year. And then we're also going to focus on veterans. There's a real need for our senior veterans. And we want to focus on the local people. Our point is to keep people here in the Snoqualmie Valley, right? We want the people who've been farmers here, who worked for Weyerhaeuser, who worked for Carnation Farm. We want them to be able to stay where they grew up, where they raised their kids, where they have their life. But then somebody said, well, what if somebody outside the valley wanted to come? What about those? Like, what if there's some adult children who want their parent to come and live here? So they would not be, they would still be able to apply. But we really want to focus on our Snow Valley seniors. So this is kind of what it would look like. Here's Stevens Avenue. And here's the senior center at the bottom of the page, not visible. So we're looking at a 3-story building. It would be 2-story right here. And over here is 3-story, I believe, too. And then the future thrift store is there. So
if you're pointing at something, I can't see the pointing part.
Oh, it's a little arrow. You don't see it? Okay. Oh, well, you can see the picture though, right?
Well, if you say right here, maybe you could explain on the right side, the left side, up or down.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. So you can see on the perimeter of the lot is where we'd have all of our parking. And then of course there would still be street parking, but that wouldn't be included with our count that the city requires. So on the, as you're facing this, on the left side of the building will be the atrium and such, 3-story building. This is what it kind of looks like inside. So it's 3 stories. Here would be the 1st story. So on the left, you see we would have an office for an office manager, and we would hire a management company to come. It'd be a lobby where you can get your mail and everything, and a really nice vestibule that's got lots of space, 2 stories high. And then there would be 5 one-bedroom units on each floor. There'd be an elevator and a laundry room on each floor. So what have we done so far? Well, what we've done so far is we've assembled a development team. So GS Consulting, their affordable housing development consultant, and that's Ginger Siegel, who's here and can help answer questions. And then we hired Environmental Works to be our architect, and they also helped design our 2nd floor of the senior center years ago. And then we've hired Buchanan Construction to be our general contractor. We submitted for a federal home loan bank application, and we requested $600,000 for that. And we got a letter of support from this Carnation City Council. Now, not to worry, I'm going to go into more detail, so hold your questions. So here's our general budget. We're looking at $5.4 million for 15 units. Everybody knows costs have gone up, construction costs, lumber's way high. It comes to $315 per square foot, which is way higher than it would have been a year ago. We're hoping that construction costs stabilize, but we're going with the cost as they are right now when we apply for grants. And then there's a cost for the architecture and the engineering, developer fees, the financing fees, and then some reserves to keep maintaining the building. So that $5.4 million includes all of those things underneath that. So where are we going to get our money if we're not going to do a big fundraising campaign? So we're applying for the Federal Home Loan Bank Affordable Housing Program. We're applying to King County Housing Finance Program and to the Washington State Housing Trust Fund. Now, each of these are grants, not loans. So it would be a gift of money if we use it for what it was intended for. But we would have to get also a mortgage, a bank loan, which would be paid for. We could pay the mortgage with the apartment rents and have a little bit left over to go into maintenance of the facility and repairs. So to take care of the depreciation. And then Sno-Valley Senior Center is providing the land, of course, which is all paid for free and clear. So no project is without problems. Here's some of our challenges. Pre-development is expensive. So the pre-development is those architectural drawings, and you have to do surveys and parking studies and all kinds of things are involved with it, plus the grant writing to get the funds. So the board approved $100,000 to be used from our board savings account. Right now we have over $400,000 in there. Those funds could be replaced if we go forward, and some of our grants and loans could be used to repay that back. The other challenge we're facing is the parking. The current code from the city of Carnation requires 19 spaces for the apartments and 20 for the senior center and 3 for the future thrift store. So that's 42 total. We can't fit 42 spaces there. And they won't let us count the 8 spaces that are directly in front of the senior center because they said that's public parking. So we're asking the city of Carnation, we said, do we really need 19 spaces for the apartments? Because we can provide transportation through the Hyde shuttle and through volunteer transportation. The parking study that we did shows that in general, about half or less in senior housing have cars or want to have a car. So we'll be talking a lot to the city of Carnation about that and might need your help with some advocacy. And then we're also asking for a pretty big state investment. So more than they usually give, but not more than they've ever given, if that makes sense. So we're kind of at the higher end of what they usually give out. And then those construction costs that I mentioned before are really volatile right now. Costs are just shooting up. Many economists think that they will stabilize once companies get over, their COVID closures and stuff, but nobody really knows for sure. Lumber went through the roof. It is starting to go down a little bit in price, so that's encouraging, but we just don't know. So these are the challenges that we're looking at.
How long ago was I on the board?
Sorry? How long was Dot on the board? 6 years, I think. So we've been working on this a long time. I worked on it in 2005 when I was here the first time. So the next steps, and I'll take questions right after this, is to resolve the parking issues with the City of Carnation. And so we had the parking study done, and we're working with the city planner on that. And to get updated construction cost estimates. And then local government contribution commitment. If we can get some support from Carnation and Duval that says, yeah, we believe in this, we support this, that will make a huge difference in assisting our applications. And the next applications are to King County and to the state of Washington, and those are due September 15th. So we put in some applications the end of May, and the rest are due in September 15th. We'll know if we're going to get funded in December. And so then we'll know if we're getting all these grants and things. At that point in time, the board will decide if they want to move forward or not. They might say, oh, we didn't get all the funding we wanted. We're not sure. There's too much risk. We don't want to do it. Or they might say, woohoo, look at how the support we've got. Look at how well we've done. Yes, we want to move forward. So that is in flux right now. Nothing is completely decided, but we did invest the $100,000 in pre-development, which if we do go forward, will be reimbursed. But if not, then we will have learned a lot. And that's the end of the presentation. So I'm going to stop the share there. And oh, Sarah, you sent me that whole time. Was it 2 slides? Sorry. Oh, well. To me, I could only see 1 slide. So go figure. So that kind of gives you a very broad overview of what we're thinking. So now, what do you think? What are your comments and your questions? And Ginger, Sarah, and I will try to answer them.
I have a question, and I may have missed this because I didn't get on right when you started, but the house there that used to be Reincarnation, does the senior center own that?
We do. We own that outright. So we don't have any debt on it. And we're going to tear that down in August, actually. The house has become unsafe. It has had wood-eating insects in it. And so we had to move Reincarnation out of there for safety reasons. And now we've got
what would you use that for, do you think?
It would be part of the housing project. So the house, the apartment complex would stand on where the parking lot is right now and into part of the grassy area where the White House is.
There'll be apartments there, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 15 one-bedroom apartments.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, Allison.
I just had a question on, has the county been approached for permitting that they will allow this kind of a project to be done?
The good news is we're in the city limits of Carnation, so the county doesn't do the permitting, Carnation does.
Okay.
I know, praise God, because King County is hard to work with. Oh, I should keep my mouth shut.
It is. That's why I was wondering if you'd already, made that hurdle, because I thought they would be the biggest challenge.
Yeah, that can be years getting permitting from King County. So, but we're in the city limits of Carnation.
Perfect. Thank you.
I have to speak up, but just a second.
Okay.
I thought I was muted before. This is Dot. And back like 10 or 15 years ago, I was on the board and we went through a process of trying to do this, building senior housing. And they looked at places all over the city, including our land thing, and we didn't make it. but this sounds like it's got a much better chance. And,
Agreed.
you know, things are really taken care of. So that I'm proud of you guys for doing this. Thank you.
Thanks, Dot. Yeah, I was part of that too, trying to find property and trying to get somebody in. Carol, you had a question.
Just have a quick question. It's going to be basically be independent living.
Yes, it will be completely independent living.
Okay.
Mhm.
There was a question in the chat about rental rates. And the rents will vary based on what your income is or what the tenant's income is. The lowest rate will be about $620 for people at 30% of area median income. And then there's an intermediate rate, which I think is about $1,000 for people at 50% of median income. And then there'll be a couple of units that go a little higher to about $1,200 for people at 60% of area median income.
Is it going to be 2 stories?
3 stories.
3 stories, okay.
Yeah. And Sarah said it would be helpful for you to say your name before your question, but I see Mr. Reball has his hand raised. So Jim?
Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good.
Good. Hey, I was wondering, this is probably a question for the designers and architects. Have you thought about a design that had parking on the ground floor and then approach the city with like a height variance to have the 3 stories up above that, where that would kind of solve the parking issue and everything all at once? I just wonder if that was ever approached or not. Just basic question more than anything.
It was. Ginger?
Okay.
Yeah, so we've had a little bit of conversation about that. We're hoping to not have to build more parking than we believe we need. So the parking demand study shows that we only need a little less than half a space per unit for senior housing. That's based on data from senior housing, other senior housing projects. So that's our first goal, is to not build more than we need, and then we wouldn't have to do it under the building. We could do what's called tuck under, which is, you basically have one side of the building that you can park underneath the building.
Right.
But it actually takes a lot of land to do that, because you still have to meet your set asides and have a drive aisle for that. So then we would have a problem meeting our open space requirements, which the city also has. So it is a pretty tight space, and it ends up, being sort of a puzzle to get it put together right. So it hasn't been taken off the table, but right now we're hoping to just have surface area parking and not be in the building.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It added a little sum to the cost too, didn't it, Ginger? So.
Yeah, we haven't had the contractor cost it out because we don't know if we're going to go that direction yet, but it would add some to the cost.
Hi, this is Cindy. Do you raise your hand when you want to speak, or?
Sure, or put in the chat, or there's a little icon down here, raise your hand, but Cindy, the
I don't see raise your hand. Yeah, I was looking for it. So
it has reactions down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited you guys are doing this. I've seen senior housing in Totem Lake. It's awful, but I don't think that's your intent. And I think we can learn a lot from their mistakes. I would like to say, for example, this apartment had 91 units and they only had 32 parking spots. And they said there'd only be 1 staff member there a day, which is not true. There's like 3. And really about 50 of the 91 drove. And more than that, they can't get any health care after they come home from the hospital because there's no parking. So nobody will come for aftercare home. No chore service will come, but that doesn't have neighborhood. This is right on a busy road and there's no neighborhood to park. There will be some people parking down the street then to come do their chore service or the visiting nurse after you get out of the hospital. That might irritate the neighbors. So I just want to say you really need to have about 3 spots set aside for healthcare professionals, social workers, things like that. Or if a senior doesn't have a parking spot because they don't drive, that's fine. But then if there's no parking, their sister's not going to come visit them. So I want you to think about that. It's been a nightmare up there. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. And part of that was though that there is no neighborhood. It's right on Totem Lake Boulevard. So you can't park down the street and walk back to visit. And in Incarnation, you do have those streets you can park and walk back. And then on days that the senior center is not running, people can go park over there, right?
Right. Yeah, I
So
mean,
if somebody wanted to visit on the weekends, but I'm more worried about the healthcare workers, the PTs that come in after you have your shoulder redone. Those seniors up there in Totem Lake are getting no aftercare. Nobody will bother because they get towed. They park next door and these therapists come out and they've been towed.
yeah.
So the seniors are that. And another thing I think would be nice is let the seniors have their own washer and dryer. That's a big deal. I don't know if that's in there and you're saying they can go down and use a common laundry room. You know, that's a big deal. And that would be a nice little plus for the seniors if you could take on that cost. But otherwise, I'm excited. And the tents there, you guys are going to manage your own building. You're not going to let a private property manager come in. So it looks good all the way around. But I know it's important for seniors not to have to take their laundry all the way down to the laundry room and back. And then they go down there and somebody's using it. So I think their own washer and dryer stackable would just, they would have the best. Yeah. So that's it. I'm done.
Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, right now the plan is to have a laundry on each floor with little carts where people.
Well, that's only 5 people sharing the laundry room. I guess that's not
Good.
the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, and there'll be elevators then, right?
Yes, there are elevators. Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for that feedback. Sharon has a question. Sharon K. But you're still muted, Sharon. Okay. Anybody else have a question? Sharon has her hand raised. She went through and did the reaction with the little hand raise, but can anybody else have one? So this is good feedback of what you want to see in the apartments too.
Oh, I have another comment. This is Cindy again.
Okay, Cindy.
My mother now lives in Kirkland Plaza in Kirkland. And it was so funny when your biggest maintenance expense is the landscaping, because there was a lot of property when they built that 30 years ago. There is going to be some open spaces for these people to go outside and sit and maybe even have a above ground garden plot and stuff. Or is it going to be all cement in the building? I'm so tired in Bellevue and Redmond to see tall buildings right up to the sidewalk, and the square footage takes everything.
Yeah, no, we're required to have green space by the city of Carnation. So
Okay.
there will be green grassy areas.
Good. And if they could, I know seniors miss not having a little space to garden and stuff.
Yeah, now that's a whole nother question. And we do have the backyard of the senior center too, where, but so it's possible that we could put in raised beds or some other kinds of things, or so there are some options that we can do because it's right next to the senior center, but there will be some grassy areas. Anybody else have a question?
Hi, this is Rosemary. What's the square footage of the apartments?
They're about 540 square feet.
Okay, thank you.
They're cozy. Yeah. Yeah, and Sharon K, who raised her hand, said parking is important and getting help out to the valley is difficult enough without having parking problems. So yeah, Sharon, that's a good point. And yes, the senior center and the street parking would be available. It wouldn't be like a city, but yes, we do want people to be able to get the services that they need. That would be very important. And we can also provide transportation to services. So, anybody else? Are we losing people off of this? I guess they heard what they wanted. So what do you guys think? Are you excited? Are you like, oh, it's only 15? Or, I mean, just general thoughts?
I think it's fantastic. And this is Allison. I think it's fantastic what you're doing and all the work that's already gone into it. It's just 15, I didn't think you were going to be able to get that many in that space. So I think that's fantastic.
And this is Cindy. I've been watching, I got involved in affordable housing for seniors because my mom ended up in that other place first. So I've learned a lot. Maybe we can work with the county to get a few project-based Section 8 vouchers there too, for the seniors who live below 10% of the AMI and stuff. That would be nice.
Yeah, we have talked about Section 8 and helping with rents and stuff. So yes.
Yes, because I see a lot of seniors being extremely rent burdened in Kirkland, and it's sad.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if the community knew it was only another 100 or 150, so they had enough money to pick up their medications and groceries, I think we could do that. But no, I'll send you some stuff later, Lisa. The rent burdening of seniors and affordable housing is really sad. It's up to 80%.
That's partly why we're doing this, because there is no place for people to go that's low income or that is senior oriented.
Oh, well, yeah, but if you have a income of $15,000 a year and you have to take a 40% apartment, you're rent burden.
Yes, yes.
But they'll, at least in Kirkland, they'll let you move in and then absolutely have no money and be very depressed.
This is Beth. Yes, I do have a question.
Okay.
I was surprised that it was only 15 units. I could fill that with 15 friends of my own.
Yeah, I can probably in an hour or two.
Right. But is this going to be open to people who currently live in the valley?
Yes.
Or is it going to be opened up for other people to come from Issaquah or Kirkland or Seattle? You know, what was your answer to that?
The vision is that it would be people from the valley, people who have grown up here, raised their children here, but it would not be.
When the waiting list starts, just fill it up and all of you guys talk. And when you open your waiting list again, you make sure all the valley people get on it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so we'll mostly advertise it here in the Snoqualmie Valley, and then if need to go further afield. But it's the main goal is that we're serving our valley seniors.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Allison.
Yeah. Is there a height restriction that you can't go above 3 stories?
Yes. Carnation.
Is that just for Carnation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't go more than 3 stars. Anybody else? Well, you know, I was here the first time, as I put it, from 2001 to 08. And we were very serious about trying to get senior housing then. And we talked to all kinds of developers and they all said, no, it's too small, not enough demand. Or if there was demand, the number of units that we could build would not have a cost benefit. So to have a nonprofit like us doing this makes a big difference. We can get some grants, but I know we tried really hard to get some property and to build it and to have people there. So I'm excited. 2005 to 2021, who knew? And it's not a done deal. It depends on a lot of things and the board will vote on it in December. But if you want to see more about how the financials work, you can take a look at the feasibility study. And if you have questions, you can always email me or call. And if I can't answer it right away, I will look it up. So any other questions or thoughts? I always hoped I would live long enough to see it happen.
Lisa, I have a comment. My daughter has just recently moved into low-income senior housing down in Lacey. And I think it was 30% of the average median income there, and she fell quite a bit below that. And so if you're having some apartments for like 630 or something around that price, I think that's really good, because they were running, the lowest ones were running around 900 down there. And, you know, that's really hard to make when you don't have much money. So
Yeah,
I'm really excited and pleased about the lowness of the rent here for some of the people. So that's really good.
yeah, yeah. I'm just excited to have our people stay here in the valley and not have to move up to Bellingham or to Redmond or to Issaquah or down to Auburn, someplace where they can get something more affordable and find some senior housing. So that's great. Yes, Carol.
Yeah, this is Carol. I have a question. Once this is all approved and you start building, how long would it take to be able for people to move in?
I can answer that. So the construction period is expected to be about 12 months. We hope that we'll get funding, and the funding announcements are in December. And then it takes about 6 months, 6 to 9 months to go through the final design and permitting process. So we hope to break ground in the fall of 2022 and then be open for occupancy in the fall of 2023.
So that would be awesome, huh? Yes, Dot? Oh, you're just waving your hands. Okay. Yay. Well, let me show you one more time where you can find more information on this. So if you go to our, where'd it go? To our website. Sorry. Okay. Okay, can you see our website page there, Sno-Valley Senior Center? Okay, so if you have somebody who's asking you about this and you say, look, you can go to snowvalleysenior.org and go to the About tab, and there you will find affordable senior housing. Or you can go to this little purple box here where it says affordable senior housing, click on it. And there you'll see kind of a little summary. You'll find our actual feasibility study with all the budgets if people are worried about how it will impact the senior center and our finances, and the presentation that we did today, and then all the newsletter updates from the board president. So if you want more information, go ahead and take a look at the feasibility study. You just click on it and it will show up like that. And then you just arrow back. So that's where you can tell people to go, or if you want more information yourself. But the general word that we're getting out there is that it's not a done deal. The board will vote in December once we know what our funding is. I think it's super exciting that Ginger Siegel from GS Consulting has helped us find a way to potentially do this without having to do a big fundraising campaign. Without it impacting the senior center finances, and that has made it sustainable if we're able to get, you know, all of these different grants and such. So there would be a loan, we would take out a mortgage, but our hope is that the goal would be that the rents would pay the mortgage back, plus there would be a little bit left for putting into the maintenance. So, anybody have any more questions? Ginger, you got anything you want to add to the presentation or to what we said?
No, Lisa, I think you've said it really well. It's not a done deal. The funds that you will need to build this project are competitive, and there's more need out there than money available. But we're hopeful that the funding applications will be successful, and we'll know that in December.
So by the new year, you'll know if we're going to start some senior housing here in Carnation or not. So I think that's pretty exciting. That's only 6 months away. Woo! So cool. So any other questions?
Cool.
Feel free to email me or call the Senior Center. I'm at Lisa Y at soundgenerations.org, or call the Senior Center at 425-333-4152, or write a letter, whatever works for you. So that's it. That's all I got. But as soon as I know more, I will definitely let you know. And in January, we'll have big news one way or the other. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you can find this presentation on our website and everything. So